Hi guys, today we're going to learn introduction to robotics. So one of the very first thing I would like us to note today is for us to get started into robotics, we need to know the basic component you need to get started with. So we're going to start with Arduino. So here we have Arduino Nano. The Arduino Nano, it's a microcontroller that can be used to make robots. So the next one I'm going to introduce to you is the Arduino Uno. So this Arduino Uno, basically it's also for programming robots. Then we have an advanced one, which is the Arduino Mega. Here is the Atmega 250-2560 Atmega processor. So this is an Arduino Mega. You can also use this to jumpstart robotics if you want to venture into robotics. So I'm going to clear up this. Then I'm going to introduce you to the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is basically for advanced usage. If you want to build something more advanced, something that needs more functionality, like IoT based project, or you want to create a given web monitoring device, or maybe computer vision project, you can actually use a Raspberry Pi for it, because as you can see, this is more than a microcontroller. It's more or less a microprocessor that uses the Linux operating system. Alright, so that's that about the platform you can work with. Either you work with the Arduino, you can work with the Arduino or the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is more like a credit size. Then the Arduino has variant sizes. Like I see here, we have the Nano, then this is the Mega, then we have the Uno, which I showed you earlier. But I think they use more of the Uno and the Nano often. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to for you to get started into robotics, you need to know the composition of every robot. So what are the composition of every robot for you to get started into robotics? Robotics, it's fun, but there are basically some composition that you need to understand. Like, what do you need to have? What component do you need to get for you to get started into robotics? So now the very first thing we need to get we need to get the microcontroller or the microprocessor, either the Raspberry Pi, as you can see, the Raspberry Pi, or you get your Arduino Mega or Arduino Uno or Arduino Nano. Any of the Arduino platform is fine. Alright, now but aside this, you also need to get some other things, which are the sensors. Right, so I'm going to introduce to you some sensors. Here we have the sensor, which is the HS04, which is the ultrasonic sensor. It's more like a sonar, which is like a sound navigation device that can be used to measure distance using sound waves. So this is the HS04 rather. So this is an ultrasonic sensor. Now we also have other sensors that you can incorporate to your project with your robots. And here we have the color sensor. So this color sensor can also be used to maybe determine something, like you want to determine if something is red or yellow in color. You can use this particular sensor to determine that kind of project. Maybe you want to check for color sorting, for RGB color setting, so you can use this to determine that kind of project. Alright, so the next thing I want to introduce to you is this. Now this is actually a gas sensor. This gas sensor can actually be used to detect LPG. Here we have MQ013. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I've got it in focus. Yeah, MQ13. So this gas sensor can be used to determine if a gas is leaking in your house. For example, your LPG gas, which is the liquefied petroleum gas, you can use to determine that, and you can build a small robot that can determine if that is leaking, and once it's leaking, to prompt you an alarm, or you can even send you a text message on your phone telling you that you have leakage of gas. All right, so aside sensors, because I know I'm done with my sensors. Okay, I have just a few sensors currently, so I've shown you some of the sensors. So what I'm going to show now is we have what they call modules. In Arduino, we have what they call modules. So modules, the modules are something like your LCD module, which can be used to display on the screen. Here we have a LCD module. So this LCD module can be displayed on the screen. It can be used to display items of the string or characters, maybe numbers or so. So you can use this to display an output. All right. So here is an I2C module. I use it for a project like a wearable project. So this an LCD is a 16 by 2 LCD. So this is one of the modules. Then we have another module here. We have what they call the relay module. You can use this to power up your normal appliances at home. All those things you use at home, like your TV set. You can use to power up your radio. You can use to power up your fan and all. So this is also a module that can be used in Arduino for maybe alternating current devices, that is devices that don't use battery. Alright, so another module I'm going to introduce to you is the SD card module. Yeah, the SD card module is actually a module I used when I was in an hackathon, and the hackathon was for us to make a sound as an output. So I need to store all my audio in a memory card using the SD card module. So this is the SD card module I used. So now, if you're maybe a tinker and you want to do games, you want to make games, you can actually get started with the joystick module. So this joystick module actually can be used for making games. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So it has about 4 pins, basically 5. That's for switch. It has for X and Y coordinate. Then it has the ground and the VCC. So this can be moved like this, just like a normal analog. Alright, so aside that, we have another module which I'm going to introduce to you now, and this module is called the 4x4 keypad module. So if you want to make a project that needs password, that you need to input password, you can use your 4x4 module. This is a flexible 4x4 membrane, so it's actually very soft, like the buttons are soft. So use a 4x4 membrane that you can use to make your simple project. Maybe your password protected project, or you want to make it a GSM using Arduino, you can use this 4x4 membrane, keypad membrane to get started to work with. Alright, so the next module I'm going to explain to you guys is this. This is the LN298N. Yeah, this is what they call a motor driver. So I'm going to show you that. Yeah, L298N. So L298N, basically what these doors is that it allows you to control your motors, because you don't control motors using Arduino. You actually need to power it with an external device that can send a particular kind of current and voltage to those stuff. Maybe your actuator, your DC motor, or your stepper motor. All those motors can't be powered with your Arduino. Arduino has limited current it sends to those kind of powerful devices. So you need more powerful devices like this H bridge to power your two motors. So you can see we have what we call out 1, then we have out 2. So you use this kind of projects, this kind of modules to power your motor. Then now we have this is NRF wireless radio module. So this is used to make wireless robots. Maybe you want to make a wireless device, you want to control your vehicle, you want to control your rover, your drone. You can use this kind of module to control it. It has about 8 pins. It has the MISO, the MISO, the CS and all that. So this kind of module can be used to make a wireless device that can go up to about 100 meters away from you. So it's actually very, very nice to get started with if you want to go into Arduino. So it's called the NRF2401L. So I'm going to introduce you to a cheaper or an easy module, which is the Bluetooth. So this is a typical Bluetooth module. This is a typical Bluetooth module, I said, and this is HC06. So HC06 is one important module you need to have in mind. Yeah, so HC06 is one important module you need to have in mind if you want to go into robotics. if you want to build stuff that you can use an Android app to control, perhaps maybe you want to build something that you can control using your phone, you can use this kind of device to incorporate on your robot. Then you can make a nice project using AC06. All right, so I'm going to now go into since I've talked about the module, I'm going to talk about I've talked about the sensor. I'm going to talk about the what they call it, the actuators. But before that, there are some things I need to also let you know. There's what they call shield. A shield is just like a component you plug into something. So for now, I don't really have a shield to show you, but maybe in the next class I'm going to have a shield. A shield is just like a typical example of this Uno, for example, but you plug it into it. So example of this kind of shield are motor shield, expansion shield, the GPS shield, and we have also the Wi-Fi and the joystick. So these are basic shield you can plug into your Arduino, and this Arduino, it's going to give you opportunity to do other stuff with it. So you plug it on this Arduino, then you can use it for other projects. Alright, so when I was talking about sensor, I think I missed this. This is an MPU sensor. This is used for balancing. This is called a gyroscope sensor. It has a gyroscope and accelerometer. It can allow you to make a self-balancing robot. I didn't talk about this. Alright, I just remembered now. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the actuators. Actuators are just like the what they call it. We have the device that rotates, like maybe your motors. So these motors, for example, we have a DC motor. So this DC motor can rotate. So this one has gear. As you can see, this sound. So this has gear in it. So this DC motor can be used for making project that has to do with movement, that has to do with locomotion. All right. So this is the what they call it. This is a DC motor. Then this is the gearbox. All right. So you can use it to make motors. Like I think I have an example of a typical example. So this is a tire. So I want to make something. You can just plug it into it today. Then if you move around, then it's gonna go. So you can just plug it into it. Sorry about that. So this is it. So I have formed a typical example of a wheel. So I can move around with this. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is your servo motor. So servo motor is used basically for projects that has to do with movement of maybe an angle within an angle. For example, you want to make a robot ant, you want to make a robot crab, you need something like servo motors. It moves with an angle of from 0 to 180 degrees. So it doesn't move around like your normal DC motors. It has about 3 pins, which is the signal, the VCC, and the ground. So this is your servo motors. Alright. So the next thing I'm going to do, the next model, I'm not going to show you servo as the. So this is actually this is a stepper model. So the stepper motor has a driver on its own. So this driver powers the stepper motor. Why people like using stepper motor is because of it works with step. It has an encoder, which is this, and this encoder allows it to remember the past steps or the past movement it has done previously. So it's more advisable if you want to do something with high precision to work with a stepper motor, because it gives you a very good coordinate, unlike the DC motor that doesn't really work with steps. All right, so this is slow in working because it has gears in it as well, but it's actually very accurate and precise when you work with this. So you can use for making CNC machine, you can use for making 3D printing device, you can use for making a lot of things, a lot. In fact, self-balancing robot with this module is very good. So this is an actuator. It also rotates round, but it needs a driver. All right, so this is going to be. So the next motor that I've shown you is the what they call it, the brushless motor, but that is basically used for aircraft. So I'm not going to explain that now because I don't have it close by. So that is basically it's for aircraft. Maybe you want to do something like a drone, you may need all this kind of project for it. All right, so Alright, I'm going to wrapping up my class now, since you've already seen you've seen the models. Then the last thing I'm going to explain to you is the battery. I think most people don't know that battery is very important when it comes to building robots. And this battery is the lithium-ion battery. It is actually a 2S battery, and this 2S is about 14.2 times 2, which is about 8.4. So this kind of project, maybe you want to make a project, you need a lithium-ion battery to get started with, because it actually powers your robot very well, unlike using your normal 9-volt battery. Okay, so I will advise you that any robot you want to build, try to get a lithium-ion battery to work with. It's going to really help you. So the next video I'm going to be showing after this is to make a simple LED to blink. Since we're actually doing an introductory video, I'm going to make a simple project which is to blink an LED. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this introductory section of robotics. Thank you for joining this class, and I believe you're going to really learn a lot when it comes to the practical aspect of it. Alright, so let's dive into the Arduino environment.